Welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, every Friday, we talk to someone who's doing something remarkable in our society, learn about their journeys, and also be inspired by some of the mistakes that they've made. My guest today is Honorable Seth Kwame Acheampong. He's the MP for Mpraeso and the Chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Throughout our conversation, if you have any questions, contributions, let us know with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. And the WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. Today also happens to be his birthday, so if you want to see about any special birthday shout-outs to you can send them. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well and blessed.
What does it take to be an MP?
Great. First and foremost, by our country's constitution, you have to be a Ghanaian by law. So you were born here or you have naturalized here, but there must, clearly you should not have any second citizenship. You must be clearly a Ghanaian.
A pure Ghanaian citizen.
Pure Ghanaian citizen. And then you just decide to go to your people and get them accept you, that they would allow you to represent them, because to be a member of parliament, it means you are going to represent the interest of a certain people within the country.
And what made you decide to become a member of parliament? How long ago was this?
That's, I think the interest started in 2003.
How old were you then?
2003, push and push. I think I was in my early 30s. My good friend, the MP for Suhum, decided to go to parliament.
Okay.
And so he invited me to partner and support him in his bid to go to parliament. So we went in there and helped him, and he was successful.
Okay.
And then I just developed my interest thereafter and decided to give it a shot in my backyard in Nkwo. And then I was faithful to God, and God blessed me on that, because I had promised God that if he did make me an MP, I'll not depart from serving him. And I'm happy that I truly made it, and I give it to God first and foremost, and to my friend Mpraeso, who encouraged me, because we're all in business at the time, and I was doing well in business. And at a point that I thought it wasn't necessary to get in there, he stepped on my foot and said, "Seth, you are a potential. Don't stay back. Join the fray." And I take it up and I go with it. And it hasn't been a regrettable decision at all. I've enjoyed every bit of it. It's given me the opportunity to express myself, and a lot more people have come my way. I have learned from people. Let me tell you, I entered parliament in 2009. First and foremost, I went into a primary with 4 other senior members of my party. At the time,
were
in
you
2000,
intimidated?
Not necessarily, not at all.
Really?
Not
You're
at all.
30-something years old.
Let me tell you. My journey started from Takoradi Polytechnic.
Let's start from there. Let's start from your childhood. Where did you grow up?
I was born
on this day. You gave your mom hell.
Truly,
I hope it was a very simple delivery.
I think it was a cesarean.
What?
My frame, so you can tell.
Wow.
And she was a bit in age. She was old. She was after 40 when she gave birth to me.
Aww.
She's no more. She's late though.
Wow.
So
may her soul rest in peace.
Amen. And I was born in Etibie, started schooling in Etibie, had my common entrance in Nkwo, entered St. Peter's Secondary School in Nkwo. And then I was hoping to go to Tech. I couldn't get it. Then I was asked to go to Takoradi Polytechnic. So
were you disappointed?
Not at all. At the beginning, I wasn't so much happy, but at a point in time, I realized that age was catching up with me. I needed to do something, because my mates had all gone to uni, and I was just sitting at home.
Were you beginning to feel like a failure?
Not at all, but I felt that I was just delaying my development. Okay. So, and I come from an engineering family. My relatives, my uncles were all in the engineering field. So I was following after them. Then I was asked to go. So I was there. I had wanted to do mechanical engineering. Then I was asked, no, you have to change, because everybody's doing mechanical. So try something else. So I went into construction, civil engineering.
Okay.
And I haven't regretted at all. It has been a useful exercise for my life.
What did you like about it?
Because out of school, I had to work with Rasdell Enterprise first. That was the company that built the 2 interchanges in Accra, Sankara and Kanda. And I was fortunate to have been employed by them at that early age. And I learned under heavy and respected engineers. The former chief director of the Ministry of Roads and Highways, Engineer Brock, and currently they are all senior engineers in Ghana. Engineer Ashon Lamte were all men that I worked under, because Engineer Ashon Lamte was our resident engineer on the job, and then Chumbuafu and Partners was a consultant that partnered Sujalek, who was the foreign consultants to supervise the contractor. In contract administration, when it happens like that, every project has got a consultant that helps to see to the client's interest. And so this is how it was structured.
And what did you enjoy about that job?
Because I worked under these expatriates who were so demanding. So at that time, if you are asked to, like I walked into your studio and I was late, I'll be punished, because these white boys will not give you a second. If they say work start at 7, at least by 6:45, you should be lurching around.
Why were you late, actually?
No, not necessarily, because maybe I'm the last.
Your birthday. It's allowed. But let's talk about university. What school did you go to?
Jifa, you know, yesterday I made an error by chatting with my friends, your crew in Parliament. And I said, oh, Charlie, tomorrow is my birthday, don't disturb me. They said, no. Chama, you won't walk away. You have to be on our set. You have to tell your story. I said, oh, please. They said, you have to tell your story. I said, okay, I have no choice. I'll just give in.
We're happy you can join us.
No, Jiva, I think it's good to let people know.
Yeah.
So then back in the Polytechnic, I became the president of all the Polytechnic student leadership.
Really?
And at that time, our arrangement was such that we had only 3 traditional universities that managed the student front. So we had Legon, Science and Technology University, and then UCC. Yeah. And then the leadership of NUCS rotated. So at my time in 96, it was Haruna who had been elected. Haruna and Muhammad Yariga contested on Legon campus.
The same Haruna
due to the minority leader. So, and then I had won from the Polytechnic Front. Then the structure of NUCS was such that you have the university person being the president, then you have the Polytechnic person being a vice president, and then the special interest group. Then we had GIJ, IPS, then now UPS. So the specialized institutions also had one leader who was also a vice president. So we formed the team in student leadership. So that's where I think the politics started from. So
what are some of the skills you gained?
Exactly. No. At the time, you start CC meetings, Central Committee meetings at 9 p.m. and we stay overnight and talk our heads off till the next morning. Yes, till the next morning, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I remember when the late great son of Ghana, Kofi Annan, was confirmed as the UN Secretary General. We were in Ho Polytechnic. At the time, we had just finished holding a Central Committee meeting. We were excited that the first African black south of the Sahara to be made the United Nations General Secretary was one of our own. And it was so inspiring. And these are some of the things. So, but thereafter, I just entered industry. And so that's the politics went away.
Why?
So I felt I needed to build on the acquired skills so that I could make some living for myself. You know, I'm a cool boy. And you can't
what does that mean?
I mean, you need to make some money.
But you could have survived as a politician and been fine.
You can survive as a politician and be fine, but you need to have something before you enter politics. I think I would encourage every person who decides to enter politics to try their hands on something first. At least before I entered mainstream politics, have had over a decade of experience working in industry. And so I had gained some level of knowledge and experience in working and relating, because you need to be a team player as a leader. Without it, you will not be able to function appropriately. And so it really benefited me. And I got into politics, mainstream politics, in 2008 when I decided to take on the Mpraeso primary. Then I contested with regional minister at the time, the Honorable Kojo Aframasidu, who was a lawyer, and Madame Susanna Mensah, who is late, very unfortunate, a relative of mine, an auntie, who we lost just this year out of very sad situation. Then the then architect, Ongna Santi, who was then the district chief executive of Kwa South district, and my regional women's organizer. And he was just a young boy working around trying his luck. And I said the Lord favored me.
What made you think that you could actually succeed?
I think I grew up in the neighborhood. I knew the terrain. And I opened up cleanly to the people. And I told them that I really had not been to Parliament before. I didn't know what was in Parliament. I felt I wanted to serve my community. By the way, I love farming. So I was farming in the community. I was growing maize in the community. And so that drew me closer home most of the time. So I told myself
before you even joined
before I even joined Parliament.
But what were some of the highlights of your time in the industry space? What were some of the successes, challenges?
I tell you
how
what,
difficult was it to...
I can't wait to tell you. Doing Sankara and Kanda, especially Sankara, was very interesting. Right, what we call the inferior level, the last level, the one that sweeps from Independence, no, not Independence Avenue, the Ring Road Central, and Ring Road. So in front of the police headquarters, coming towards the bridge, is a very soft ground. And I had studied geotechnical materials and how structures in terms of our earth is, and I had not seen it. My first time of seeing the earth dancing, because you could realize that it contained a lot of clay, and it is not just an ordinary clay. Once you put weight on it, you could see it spreading across. So you would have to replace the material there. And I had been taught, I had not seen it before. Those retaining walls there have what we call whipping holes, and they have sub-drainages, which has like what have normal PVC pipes, perforated, surrounded with stones, and wrapped in a material called geotextile material. It's like a carpet like we're sitting on, but that is used to sieve the water that is moving under the earth so that it will collect in a particular drain. So they are subsoil drainage system. These are things I had just read in books I had not seen before, but here I was. Fresh from school, they were being done right by my side, and I enjoyed it. That edifice from scratch to top is a real institution. I wish every person who is in engineering would have opportunity to, because we reduced the earth. It used to be Sankara. I didn't know it. I always we drove on it and moved on. But when we were reducing the earth, you could see the face of the earth at every layer. And the utilities, water services, water which was coming to this side of Accra was coming from Bong, and they were in huge 600 millimeter diameter pipes. They were asbestos. They had to change them and put steel in there. So there were areas where they had to couple steel and asbestos. These are things that you would never see ordinarily. And they had a low point called a place, they dug the earth 6 meters deep more, where they had a washout, water washout. It's opposite the Netherlands Embassy, just by Goko Securities out there. So I mean, anytime I drive there, I get all these pictures come in mind because I saw it at the outset and I enjoyed it. But the most difficult job we did was the Mukose drain that joined the Odo Channel.
What made it so difficult?
The earth is so soft. You have to raise walls, erect walls. And anytime you are erecting walls, you need support. So you need to have props. Anytime you try to prop, the earth failed. Maybe you've been asked to cut 2 meters. By the time you finish cutting the 2 meters, this is widened into 5 meters. So you can imagine, how do I get a 2 meter shape? So this is how difficult it was. The most difficult exercise I went through that era was constructing the Mukose drain. Today I drive past it, you can't even see it because that is where you have the new Melcom in the industrial area. And that's North Industrial Area. And they've covered the drain, so you don't even see
the work that you...
This is a 2.8 meter width and a 3 meter deep drain. It's a storm drain, heavy, coming all the way from Fadama, south of the North Kaneshi area. and it joins the Odo channel. And then we did one from the police depot. There's a channel that comes from the police depot as well to join it.
But what did all these experiences teach you about national development and the importance of taking these projects seriously and not just cashing in?
The community that lived by these channels. Over the period, we used to suffer flooding. And one of the ways of helping people that lived along the channel to have comfort was to construct that drainage. So I started learning directly from how we can impact lives through engineering. And this is one of the things. I quite remember the first time I saw how dangerous water was across, there's a bridge down that road, CMB Flats. Behind CMB Flats, you have the Mokosi drainage coming. And at high turbulent flow, water lifted a concrete slab that we had put on a drainage work. And that day I said, no, never get closer to water. So these are experiences that I've had for my own personal life. But that's just engineering. Let's look at society and life.
How was your first year in Parliament?
Hey, exciting.
Did you have any expectations going in, and were you disappointed?
I was disappointed.
Your first year at least?
Yes, I was disappointed because I was excited that my party was in government in 2008 and we had delivered and we were supposed to win power. So most of the things that, influenced us to enter into, we got into Parliament and hey, here we were, we lost the elections. I remember midnight 31st, one of my senior friends called me and said, Seth, looking at what is happening, you're not going to be on the majority side. You're going to be on the minority side. So please prepare yourself to be in opposition. I had no choice but to be in opposition. So I was in opposition my first year in Parliament. Let me take this opportunity to express my appreciation to a gentleman in Parliament who made me. And nobody knows how come I ended up becoming a chairman that I had knowledge. Dr. Anthony Akutose.
Wow.
He's a man. Tony picked us, we were 3 young guys on finance committee, myself, Dominic Nitiwol, and the Minister for Manpower and Employment, Bafwewa. And he used us to do a lot of the debate. We had just come out of government, and so they were the people who were running the show, and they would not be seen. They shouldn't be seen as the front person backing. So they would need young men like us to back. So Tony will give you an assignment. Please go and read and make sure you deliver. You finish reading, you come to him, you do a presentation to him. He'll mark you up and he'll fill you in.
Wow.
The gaps you have, shape you up. I'd never read economics, but sitting under him, he made me appreciate the structure of our budget, and I understood it, and I was surprised that in my second term, I was moved to Gender Committee, and I could realize that we're all supposed to be doing a discussion on budget, and I ended up leading the discussion because I'd gotten useful tutelage from Tony. And the joy why I'm eulogizing him today is that he doubled up with me on Defense and Interior Committee, and then the late Honorable Abukari Sumano was the chairperson of our committee. He gave me a lot of opportunity to learn on the committee. He found me quite enthusiastic. And Tony also, coming from the same caucus with him, backed me up. But I'm not forgetting my leader, Chairman Sabonso, who gave us all the opportunity. However, there's a senior lawyer in Ghana.
Let's hold on the shout-outs. We'll get to it. There are new crops of young people entering Parliament for the first time.
Right.
What advice would you give them about being teachable? And there are others who have been in Parliament for a while. How important is it for them to mentor them, whether they find themselves in majority or minority?
First and foremost, you need to have an attitude. I must say attitude. You have to be a bit submissive.
Okay.
And you have to, there are caucus rules. So you have to apply yourself to those rules. And Parliament is an institution. It's like you've started college fresh. There are seniors in Parliament. And for you to perfect yourself so you're able to meet your ambitions, you must follow after those who are experienced in the House. Because you learn a new thing every day in Parliament. There are some bills that will come. There are things that you've never cited before. it will pan out. And you see only the experienced ones who are able to cite some of these things, and they make good, useful points, knowledgeable points on them, and you pick it up. That is where you are able to relate the Constitution to the practice we do in the House, because there are certain bills that lifts some portions of the Constitution, and the language of the Constitution should not be toyed with. And so you realize that sometimes the drafters would use their own language by virtue of experience, but because we are the final authors to the law, we must ensure that we do not depart from the Constitution. So we lift it directly from the Constitution. I must mention one man.
Go for it.
W. Boafo. Lawyer Boafo was my ranking member on Defense and Interior. So I was just a member. But by the enthusiasm, everywhere he went, and he would just come out as a deputy minister. So he would pull me, take me to the IGP's office. He would take me to the CDS's office. He would take me here. So I got to understand a lot of it in a very short while.
Wow.
And then they gave me the exposure. And I would never, and you see, I gained a lot of confidence in my first term because I was on the same committee with Honorable Hakman Acheampong. I was a child when I read of them, I saw them. I used to say that I was working on the streets of Accra and Hakman would be in his car being chauffeured and he's going to Parliament. And here I was. In no time, I'm sitting with him on the same committee. The current Minister of National Security, Kandapa, was on the committee with us. Katie Hammond was on my committee.
How do you find your voice amongst such
at the time, I was a toddler, so I just have to shut up. They would have to speak and you have to learn. That's what I said. All fresh entrants coming into Parliament today, if you really want to perform, your first meeting, you just have to be observing and see how people do it. Most people, pace up faster than ordinarily. And in no time, they don't find their feet appropriately in the House. And this chamber we have is very intimidating.
Yeah.
Extremely intimidating. If you rise up and you are not able to deliver for the first time, that's the end of you.
Wow.
Because anytime you rise up, your colleagues opposite would always shout at you. And
especially
if you're not
in the minority.
Exactly. And if you're not very strong on your point, it will just drum you down and you'll be finished.
Now we're going to have an interesting Parliament. 137 for NDC, 137 for NPP, and an independent. What are your thoughts on the new Parliament?
Interesting times. But I see a lot of usefulness in it for Ghana.
Okay.
Parliament is a place for us to build consensus. If I showed you who was by me last year when I was cutting my birthday cake, you'll be surprised.
Who?
It's my brother, James Agalga. But let an issue come up, we'll be fighting like enemies. But that is Parliament for you. And your best friends are opposites. Yeah. We say this in politics all the time. The thing is that we must disagree and agree to work together for and on behalf of our country, Ghana. Yeah. Because first and foremost, we swore an oath to serve Ghana, not to serve your political party. But you can only serve Ghana if your political party gives you the opportunity. And so the essence of having the caucuses, and you only have two caucuses in Parliament, the majority caucus and the minority caucus. So wherever you belong to, you ought to, be conforming to the interests of the caucus. That is why when people go against the caucus, the whip will be able to draw his whip, and when we withdraw the whip of you, you are no more with the caucus. You are on your own. And there are consequences, because then you could lose your seat by our arrangement in Ghana. So there are some checks and balances on every person who is entering Parliament. You may have been elected by your people, but mind you, if, for instance, I got elected on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, and the New Patriotic Party formed the minority caucus at the time I entered Parliament. So I belonged to that caucus, and I needed to apply myself to the caucus rules. So when the caucus says today you are supposed to wear black, you have to comply.
Even if you don't agree?
No, then you have no choice.
Okay.
So when you are whipped, there's what we call a 3-line whip in taking a decision. You may not agree in principle with the decision. However, because they've issued a 3-line whip, you have to comply.
Wow.
You have to go with the caucus. Those are caucus rules. You have to apply yourself to them. You can't.
What happens if you don't?
Then you have to face the caucus disciplinary committee. And if you fail, you understand. It's a class action. So if the class is one day the class decides to be against you, where do you stand? Synergy.
Very miserable.
Very, very miserable. And so most often, I remember when senior colleague we met in Parliament, PC Apiofori, went against our caucus when we were voting against the Master Facility Agreement. He decided to stay in Parliament. He had to face a disciplinary committee. These are part of some once-in-a-blue moon issue. But at the end of the day, I have never regretted entering Parliament. It has made me more happy. After sixth form, I did my national service in Navrongo, and I taught in Balubia JSS. And I had gained experience in the northern part of Ghana. I know the northern part of Ghana very well. So coming into Parliament and realizing that people were representing all those areas. For instance, there are places in Upper East called Chuchuga. There are places in Upper East called China, which if you don't know, when you say China, you may think the person was trying to say China, but China is a neighborhood. And these are very beautiful neighborhoods, and you'd love. I remember when I sat in the STC and we're driving from Bolga to Navrongo, I just enjoyed that ride because you had trees, shrubs all along the road, and you never thought that you would find greens up there. And I lived in Tono. Tono had the Tono River, like I was back in Kro. Beautiful. I always enjoy river fish from Afram River, which is in Kro. Here I was in Navrongo, and I was enjoying river fish as well. So
How did you end up as the chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee?
Once you enter Parliament, they take your CVs and then they ask you your interest. I think in my first term, I was on Youth, Sports and Culture Committee as a select committee, and then Defense and Interior as a select committee, and then Finance as a standing committee. And then in my second term, I chose Defense and Interior because I'd grown interest in security, and so I felt it was an area I needed to develop myself in. So I built upon that. And then in my third term, I still chose the same committee because then I was gaining more expertise in security. Because many of whilst in my first term, the National Security Minister ceded his contribution to me as a first-time person to speak. And so it gave me a baptism. Oh, it gave me a baptism. And he would tell me what to say. Make sure you say this, make sure you say that. Because you didn't know a dime, you had just entered. They were those who were in Parliament, they were guiding you. And so you picked on some of these things. And I think I gained a lot of confidence working and staying around them, the names I've mentioned. And I've never regretted.
What are some of the achievements that you are so proud of?
Let me tell you, today, the hospital that gave birth to me, my birthday today, is the TBA Government Hospital. By this administration, Nana Adodan Kweku for this administration. That hospital was built in 1948. I was not born at the time. I'd never seen any major government renovation or touch, but it's been fully renovated. It was my dream that before I left Parliament, at least it should be touched, because your first port of call when you are home and you have any, today I'm a statesman, so easily the state can afford to take me and fly me anywhere. But before, if I'm there and I have an issue, before they bring me to the city center, I need primary care, first care, and that is being attended to. The next thing was my district, the Coal South district, gave birth to all the districts in Kro. Afram Plains North were all being managed from Mpraeso. Nkoko was being managed from Mpraeso. Abetifin was being managed from Mpraeso. It was my dream to see that we were elevated from a district status into a municipality status. And today we have it. And I'm very, very, very happy. We never had a traffic light on top of the mountain. Now we have traffic lights. See how we brag on Easter, I must say. And we enjoy it because we work hard, you know. We work so hard. The people can, and I'm the traffic lights. But now we have it and we are happy. And that is not the only thing. Tourism is booming. I mean, people are now beginning to invest in the neighborhood. There's a new crop of leadership in Kro today who are, you know, encouraging tourism. They're doing what we call normally, say, young Koko. They are putting themselves in groups. Some call Youth Forum Youth. You have Professionals Network. I mean, smaller groups. What I came to meet was KDA, Co-Development association, which had town development associations, where we all put ourselves together and spoke about Kweu and helped promote Kweu. But fortunately for us today, the new generation that is coming is so much aggressive in tourism, and it is, encouraging most of our folks here who are well-to-do to go back home and invest. And it is something that I really support, and I'm happy it is going on. When I get opportunity like this, I must, because for instance, the whole of West Africa, and greatly, not every part in Africa, we are the only place where you can fly paraglides. Yeah. And I think it's unique. And these are things that we need to celebrate and champion. And we are a happy people. So
speaking of peace and tourism, and again, guys, if you have any questions for the birthday man, Honorable Seth Kwame Acheampong, let us know. The hashtag is Breakfast Daily. And the WhatsApp line is 0550 5832. If you're coming from here, what?
And I don't.
We're not done yet, so
okay.
We're continuing.
Okay, because
I'm just making sure that they send their questions so that I ask on their behalf.
Thank you.
Now, we talked about tourism, how peaceful the nation is. We just went through an election. Right. We lost some lives. Right. 6 people lost their lives. People are still marching on our streets. How does that make you feel?
Makes me more a Ghanaian.
How?
Reasons are simple. In 1992, after staying under a particular administration and a regime of governance, we all decided that we would want a people's government. And the only one that we chose was a democracy. Yeah. And we all have our limits, because the Constitution offers us some powers, and the powers are our freedoms. And so we have been expressing our freedoms, but we say to be able to practice it fully, we need to enact some rules to shape us, to guide us. It is their right, but for instance, in that arrangement, we have the arbiter for deciding who will lead, and that's the Electoral Commission, which is a body that is independent. And then we've created, for our own safety, public safety, we've created the security services. And we say, when it is time for an election, you would have the Homeland Security, because this is more a homeland business. Decisions that are being taken on our corridors. So let them be the lead to help maintain stability and peace. So the police then takes charge. So who leads the police is the IGP. So he becomes the chairperson for that organization. Thereafter, before they do that, they try to engage all of us, all political parties, all interested civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, every person in society. And then they, by their own training and skill, scan the community and get to see where there are plausible challenges to whatever deployment they may be putting on ground on that fateful day. I think we went to the 2020 elections. This election has been quite unique because of the novel coronavirus pandemic. Yeah. So campaigning is not the usual campaign we used to have.
What do you make of the sense of insecurity that some people are feeling, people criticizing our security agencies, especially since you are now leaving Parliament, and I'm sure you would have wanted to leave on a very good note?
I think that I said it's a beautiful country. Elsewhere, you would find people being brutalized just after elections like we see. But people are going about it unlawfully, though, but even the security services is putting a human face. Unless, for instance, what I saw yesterday, which was a bit unfortunate, the pelting, throwing stones at the security services, I felt was bad. That one, if you're going for a peaceful walk, I mean, Ghana is the only place that I know I can walk in the night, 2 a.m., 1 a.m. Elsewhere, even when you're walking in the morning, you can be stopped and asked, where are you from, where are you going? But nobody asks you anything. That gives me peace.
Now, today's your birthday. Lastly, what's the next couple of years going to look like for you?
Sure. First and foremost, I'm not leaving politics.
Okay.
But I'm going to remain in the public space. But it will be more in the background and help my party do very well. But you see, let me give a shout out to my wife.
Aww.
If I didn't
actually
do
look in this camera for her so that she will know that you're talking to her.
Mrs. Acheampong, I know you've struggled with me through this enterprise in the last 12 years that I've been a member of parliament. You've never had your husband. Every day your husband is on the road. Even this morning, she asked me, so today your birthday too, you are leaving parliament, you are leaving home so early. I said, oh, Citi is interviewing me, so I have to leave you. I just want you to know that I love you. I will not leave you for anybody. And all that you have sacrificed, I respect it. And I want to thank you for being there for me. You know, she made me what I'm wearing. You know, she designs my clothes. And when I dress up, she tells me this is not good, this is good. So today I want everybody to know. You asked me why I'm in my Nigeria clothing. She was born in Nigeria, though she's Ghanaian. So today I decided to dress. You didn't know, but this is the secret I have for you. It's my birthday, but I want to celebrate you to know that the two, we are one. And so I wore your national colors for you to understand. White and green.
Honorable,
thank you
have a
very
little
much.
Smile. On that note, we're going to be singing you a happy birthday song because it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. And we have a beautiful.
Whoa, what a surprise. Can I get up?
Oh, yeah, you can get up.
Happy birthday.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
Citi, you know something? When I first got elected into parliament, right, we used to have, my classmate used to work here. He's now, he's Dr. Francis Ankara. He was the first person that interviewed me after me winning my primaries.
Aww.
And now that I'm leaving parliament, you are interviewing me. I mean, I don't do too much personality interviews because I just want to always live in the background. But Jifa, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Honorable.
And I give this to Paul and Duke. They set me up this big time.
Oh, I have some messages for you. So many messages that I'm trying to read quickly. I'm Willie Jomai and I'm following Breakfast Daily live from Liberia. A glorious happy birthday in advance to my political godfather and the regional organizer of the New Patriotic Party, who also doubles as the Western Regional NADMO Director, Mr. Okay. So many messages here from Classic FM Liberia. Please extend my happy birthday wish to Honorable Acheampong. Wishing you, Honorable Seth Acheampong, an amazing birthday filled with more blessings for the coming years. We are all so proud of you.
I have too many people I relate to, and I can't express to all of them. My friends in Youth Bridge Foundation. I'm a board member to a Youth Bridge Foundation. We do what we call AYGC, African Youth and Governance Conference, for all the youth in Africa. Our CEO, Seth Kwame, and my colleague board member, Julio. Julio celebrated his birthday 2 days ago, and we were in his office to celebrate, and I'm sure this is a surprise to them. So all of you guys, I'm not celebrating my birthday away from you. We'll do our own way. We'll do it in our own way.
Happy birthday, Honorable.
Thank
You have
you,
your cake here. We will get you a knife to cut it, but we have to go for a quick
commercial break.
Happy birthday.
Sally, but I need you to do this for me alone. Not in front of the cameras.
With you and your wife?
Yes, then I can dance.
Don't go. Oh, but you can dance now. You have to move.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.